podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for listening to No Question About That. We're a listener-supported show. You can get our bonus episodes on patreon.com/NQATpod or in your Apple Podcasts feed. All right, on with the show. This is No Question About That. I'm Ed with Wayne today. How's it going?
Very good. Thank you, my friend. How are you?
Very good. I'm doing all right.
You're very vibrant today. Very vibrant.
Well, I'm wearing Mexico third kit from the 2022 World Cup. So, as you do, International Week. So I thought I'd put on one of my many international shirts. Funny thing is, in normal life, don't wear any sort of loud clothing at all, and now I've got all these football shirts. Some of them are totally ridiculous, like purple and yellow.
Breaks the rules. Football shirts can have as dodgy fashion sense as you like, but it's the shirt's excuse. It's not your own fashion sense.
Well,
a weird thing.
True, yes. So that they got to go well with jeans, right? Isn't that the rule with new kit design?
Yeah, and if it's not your team, I don't know about your Mexican heritage, and I'm not.
It's kind of lacking, I would say.
Okay, right. Well, in that case, you're taking a leap, but you're pulling it off. I'm giving you that. I'm not gonna. I've been criticised for my fashion sense on this podcast before. I can't remember what colour shirt I had on, but I thought it was fine. But it's a podcast where people will be critical of your fashion sense. I just want to commend you on it before the angry comments come in. I think it's great.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Very good. All right, this is the Mailbag pod. Today, we've got many interesting questions, and it's interesting. There's been a mass migration to Blue Sky since the US elections. Yes. I mean, I'm not surprised, honestly, given that X is now a propaganda machine for the incoming US administration. We seem to have regathered everyone from football Twitter onto Blue Sky. And the engagement rates are really high. I don't know whether you notice this, Wayne, but it's like I've got about 1,000 followers on Blue Sky, so it's 1/70th of my X following, and the engagement rates are like 5 times as much.
Yeah.
I've been shadow banned by X for being too woke.
No, I have noticed that. Yeah, there's been a big migration over there. I had when one of the, is his name Tariq? It may be Tariq.
Tariq Amir, yeah, friend of the pod.
He gave me a code to join right when he started, and he had a code. So he gave. So I've been on there for a while, and I've been checking in intermittently this week, and every time I've gone in, like I've had a massive follower spike, and tried to follow people back. And the servers have handled that migration really well. Apart from there was a bit of a problem, a lag in following people back, because when you were following people back, it was saying invalid username for some people. So. If you're listening to this, it looks like I'm being ignorant by not following you back. I'm trying.
Just a few, teething problems with the huge spike in numbers. I mean, I think they're getting 1 million new users a day at the moment. Yeah. So the founder's here, actually. So I was trying to get a coffee with her or something. So if you listen...
As you should.
As you should. I'd love to talk to you. All right. So Mailbag pod, we have a lot of interesting discussions. I haven't really grouped them into any kind of thematic type thing. I'm just going to go through them, and I think they'll cover most of the news and what's going on at the moment. There's a couple I'm just not good at, so I'll do my best. They range between the silly and the more serious. So, all right, Tariq Amir, aforementioned friend of the pod, says, "How does it feel knowing that you're older than the manager of Manchester United? As you answer that, I should be in the corner pondering what kind of midlife crisis I should go for." Yeah, thing is, I bought a motorbike first time out 20 years ago, so I don't really think I can do that as my midlife crisis. Got any good ideas?
Manage Manchester United, which hopefully Ruben is not doing. How strange, right? Yeah, I've not arrived there yet in midlife crisis mode. Maybe I have, and I've not identified it for myself. It's strange, isn't it? That I'm old enough to manage Manchester United now. I've only just got over being old enough to handle retiring from playing for Manchester United, even though I've never had a chance of doing it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm now old enough to do something that I'm not remotely qualified for, which seems to work well for a lot of people in the world.
But we'll opine on it anyway, even though we're not qualified yet. I don't know. I haven't got a good idea for you. But drink. So, yeah, maybe not motorbikes. I've been banned from having a motorbike now.
I think probably for the best for you, Ed. I think.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep you safe for podcasting. That's not because you're not good at being a great motorcyclist.
Yeah. All right. Little Dog 13 says, good morning. So go on. Who do you think will be the first player to have a fallout with Amorim? Though he does look too nice to fall out with anyone. Yeah, interesting thing, this one, because he's obviously he's very jovial and personal and makes a joke and had a good laugh with everyone on the tour, the content that MUTV put out yesterday and on the social channels that you were telling me about. We can talk about on the day. That was very nice. But apparently he's quite disciplined when it actually comes to the things you have to do on the pitch and in the training field and so on. So who would not follow orders?
Good question. See, this is a tricky one to answer because I think someone listening and watching this would be inclined to think that our answer means we are looking at troublemakers. And I don't necessarily think that. I just think someone's nose will be put out of joint by the fact that they won't be in the team. And I think,
much more likely, yeah.
And I think there are some obvious candidates for that. And I think that's a natural footballing problem. So where I know the question's getting at, and I understand and appreciate it, I feel like everyone has a clean slate when a new manager comes in. And I feel like it's a good group to have a clean slate. So I don't want to be pointing fingers saying the bad apples in there. I just think that naturally, I think that there are some obvious candidates, and I think that some of those obvious candidates will be revealed. But I do think that everyone deserves a chance. And I think that the candidate that will be upset will be naturally upset because of the fact that they might not fit into the system, which is understandable.
Sorry. I don't think it's a bad group. I don't think they down tools for Ten Hag at all. I don't think we've got bad apples in there. I mean, I know there are some high profile channels that seem to pick some out, but I don't see it. So I think it's much more likely that the challenges with players that don't quite fit the system.
Is there a way that we can get through? Because we didn't really answer Tariq's question either. Are we going to be able to get through this entire round of questions just sitting on the fence? Can we do it? Let's do it.
We can try.
Yeah,
we can try. Alex Dixon, friend of the show, says, I don't know if this has been asked before, but I'm obsessed with Ahmad in the 3-4-3. That would mean a front three of Bruno, Ahmad, Højlund, with Ugarte mainly behind. Yeah. What are the implications for Rashford and Garnacho? A few other people are something similar too. I think he'll experiment with players in different positions in this front three to try and find a blend. I mean, if you look at the types of players, you've got a pure number 9 in Højlund, seems a very good stylistic fit. Xerxes, unclear. Maybe he could play in one of the wide positions. I don't think he's the central number 9. Then you've got Rashford, Garnacho, left side of that narrow front three, and Bruno and Ahmad, right side of that narrow front three, something like that. Goal scorer, creator, speed merchant, some kind of balance like that. Maybe? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a theory. I mean, the thing is, we've got so many different options for all of those positions.
I forgot Anthony.
Yeah, he did. Ahmad is a curious one because I'm still on that. You mentioned Ahmad and Bruno's sort of like rotating with each other, and I feel like that may be an avenue to go down. I know there's different questions about different players that have been coming in, so I don't know how many we're going to get to regarding, like Garnacho playing wing back and things like that. The different areas in which players can play, but this is specifically about the forward position. And I feel like it's funny that some players under the previous regime kind of nailed their colours to the mast. Like Rashford can only play left. And Anthony can only play wide right because he refused to play left, where he threw a strop about playing left back. So they've kind of said, we only want to play in those positions, which is not really a great look when, like I said, the slate is clean for this manager, so they might well, Rashford played a great ball for Garnacho's goal against Brentford, so he can play from the right. And under Mourinho in the Europa League run, I think he played from the right and played quite well, but he was early into his career then, because he can cross the ball really well, Rashford. So I feel like there are different... I still have to be convinced with Ahmad. That's the thing, because I think what we've seen from him is where he's come in and done really well. And then he had a run of games where he was fairly below par, and he was not that he wasn't good when he was on the ball, but he didn't make himself a dominant force in the match, whereas Garnacho more than Rashford, you see more of him. He's still there. He's still present. He's still trying things. But Ahmad has been good under Rude.
Yeah.
Again, not wanting to sit on the fence deliberately with this, because it's the next question that came on there. I just think that, like you said, because there are so many different options to explore, we will see all of them. Some of the players are in really good form, so I don't think that's actually a really good, healthy situation for United, hopefully.
Yeah. I would like to see more goals from Ahmad. I don't see him getting into those natural goal-scoring positions. I know he's got some brilliant goals, but, I mean, easy goals, which he'll have to do in a more narrow formation, assuming that Amorim just takes the Sporting template, which he may well not. Ray Mao, on a similar theme, says, with the potential formation change and his form, it's Rashford's time. I very much doubt it. And I know where the question is coming from, but I just think he'll look at this squad and go, here's the only player in the squad who's proven to be able to score 30 goals. I'm going to see if I can get the best out of him. And if over the next 6 months, we still see the same form as we've seen for the last, 18 months-ish, then there'll be a question to be asked, and a serious one. But as you say, clean slate. He's going to look at him and go, he's got the potential to score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And the formation change is a lot better than Ten Hag formation, where he was sort of deep and wide and hugging the touchline. So we'll see. Rick Kay says, Dan has made his feelings clear about having a goalkeeper called Andre. How do you feel about having a manager called Ruben? I'm not convinced. Yeah, names and, I mean, I don't know. What's the best name for a manager? You want something like Strong, Alex.
Yeah, Matthew. Matt. Yeah, Matt.
Ron.
Maybe not. Eric. Louis. Ule Gunnar Solskjaer, as it's...
You think they're all a bit wet?
Ruben. No, I don't. I'm not. It's a weird question, isn't it? Ruben's a strong name. Why is it not a good name? That's fine.
It's a bit hipstery, isn't it?
Well,
he should be wearing a beanie and, he's got the beard, so just get a beanie and he could be... There used to be a magazine years ago. I don't know whether it still exists, and I think I only saw it once, called Shoreditch Twat, and it just made fun out of hipsters.
Okay.
So there you go. That's what I think of when I hear Ruben.
Red Issue would certainly do that if they were around.
If they're still around, yeah.
Rest in peace, Red Issue. No, I like his name. I think his name's nice, and I don't have anything against it. It's the first time I've ever thought about this as a conscious thing. No, I'm quite happy with this name.
Very good. Yeah, Red Issue. Interesting what's happened to the former founders and editors of that particular magazine. Some of them extremely sound, some not quite so. THT BYCC. Yeah, get a real name, dude. Given United and many other clubs seem to be wanting to reduce the number of season ticket holders with the way they treat fans and seek profits from ticket returns, what do you think could be realistically done to fight against the tide? I do think this is a really pertinent question right now. So it's not just a reduction in number of season tickets. So a lot of clubs are looking to do this. Pull down the number of season tickets so they can have more what would be called day trippers or tourists or single match packages with hospitality and stuff like that, and try and raise the sort of average ticket price up and drive more revenues that way. So it's the profit motive, and because they're in a highly competitive league or leagues with European football and everyone's looking at what everyone else is doing. And unfortunately, the next thing that might come after that is dynamic pricing based on demand, right? And so United can do this. So in the old days, you wanted a lot of season tickets to guarantee your revenue, or in fact, get a lot of it up front. Given how popular United are, like there's don't need to do that as such. And so they're looking at how they can maximize their potential revenue. Like fans can organize and protest. I don't think that you can look to the new regulator to really control prices. I think they pretty much said they are not going to do that. But fans can organize protests. There's the fan forum. They seem to be communicative-ish. Ish. Not on all issues. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's going to be an important question, because if they go, all right, once you age out, like, because, the average age of a United season ticket holder is like 237 or something, right? Not quite, but there may be some family past. They've had a couple of amnesties over the years, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think?
I think it's a very difficult line to navigate, because this is like you said, this is a new thing, which obviously, and it's not just Manchester United, but Manchester United are involved as a very attractive club in terms of they'll pretty much always sell out at the price point that they're at. So they will want to monetize that situation as much as they can, and that's understandable to some extent. The problem that comes that you said there is loyal fan bases. I've got an issue, like ticketing issue, where there's a seat next to us that is definitely free. It's occupied by someone different every time. I've tried to inquire through different lines, through official channels, to try and get that season ticket, because I know that it's free. I've tried on multiple occasions and I just don't get a response. And the reason why I don't get a response is because the club can make back what I would spend on a season ticket probably in 3 games on that
absolutely,
ticket.
because you had a burger and a couple of pints in a venue off-site somewhere around the Keys in one of those warehouses, and you can make way more, as you say. Yeah.
The thing is, a football fan base, when it's mobilised, can achieve turnover on important decisions. So I'd never discount that, and I wouldn't even discount that with United. And I think that United are actually one of the more responsive clubs, bigger clubs, to issues like this. I do think that there is more of an issue, more of an attempt to communicate and engage on these kind of issues and actually listen. But there are things to understand, like the stadium move is a great example of this, because there's an obvious leaning to want to build a new stadium. That's obviously the direction that everyone wants to go in. So what you're seeing is like this kind of like filtering of opinions of like, let's get everyone's opinions on board and we'll make sure that we listen to and absorb everything. Ultimately, we still want to do this, and how do we placate everyone? It's difficult to do that with season ticket holders, because that's something that's, first of all, it's a dream for many to get on that list, and second of all, people who are in there don't want to let it go, and they get aggrieved at being moved around and stuff like that. So that issue is an active and ongoing one. I do actually think that there'll be a solution, and a workable one that's, obviously some people will be upset, but as the club expands the capacity when they move stadium, that will alleviate some of that stress. I think it will.
Yeah. Well, look, they're penny pinching at the moment, and in some like pretty unpleasant ways, right? They're like a story in the Mail that they're threatening to cut the Man United Disabled Supporters Association budget in half to save 20,000. The parking rates for disabled supporters went up. The club say they consulted on that one. Obviously, 200 and something people were laid off. So they're looking to cut costs, and it feels like they're penny pinching. And alongside that, they will to try and make more money. But why are they doing this? I mean, Sir Jim has not come in to take a dividend, right? He's not going to be taking money out of the club. You said on multiple occasions he doesn't expect to make money out of football. He doesn't expect to lose it either. This is a legacy issue. So they're trying to balance being successful on the pitch and having enough money for the first team.
Yeah.
And other things that are required with what fans need and want. I mean, fans would love ticket prices to be zero, right? But then you'd have to replace £150 million a year.
Yeah.
David, the mod on Blue Sky, says, Andre Onana has improved a lot this season. How much do you think that is down to the goalkeeping coach they hired in the summer? And will having a new goalkeeping coach impact that form? It's kind of interesting one, because they did get this new goalkeeping coach. Dutch goalkeeping coach, Richard Hartis, left after a long time with the club, and a new one come in. I don't know that. I think Andre said himself, he just felt like he took a long time to settle. Yeah. If you look at his data last season, he was still performing above his expected goals, right? So it was just chucking those ones in the net that really, like I think everyone focused on that. If you make a mistake as a striker and miss a goal, it's kind of expected, right? Yeah. Best strikers are in their 30s as a conversion rate. And if you're under 20, you look really bad. And if you're a goalkeeper, you have to be at 99%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's just stopped making mistakes.
And you might pull the data on this to prove me wrong, but I feel pretty sure that we've conceded much fewer shots than we were doing last season.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Much fewer. And for the criticism that he's faced, I think Billet has been pretty solid. That partnership with Martinez is pretty strong. It's impressive so far. Evans has been a good foil when he's come in. He's been very good, and not just very good for someone in his mid to late 30s. He's been very impressive when he's played. And the defensive screening, apart from a couple of very notable games in midfield, has been pretty good. So those things, I think if you praised Onana last season as he progressed, you would be inclined to think that of him this season. But I think if you were critical of him last season, you would probably still be sceptical of him this season.
I'm happy enough with him. I don't think he has David De Gea's sort of level of unbelievable cat-like reflexes. No. And like De Gea pulled off stage just shouldn't have been able to. But in the last 3 seasons with United, his form, obviously, he got the yips. And I'm not surprised that he was replaced, and his ability with the ball at his feet isn't great. Andres is, but we've barely seen it. I mean, he was playing the ball long all the time, which didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
All right. We had a couple of questions along this theme. So what's your all-time Fergie 11 in a 3-4-3, or what was your all-time 11 in a 3-4-3? So I don't know. I was thinking about this one, and I didn't want to go back further than the early 80s because I don't remember anything personally before that.
Okay.
So I was not going to have Best Law and Charlton and stuff because the amount of full games I've seen with them is not many. So do you want to go first? Have you been thinking about this one?
But you know what's funny about it is that if you look at the Busby teams, they did play a version. It was 3-5-2, but then two of the 5 were inside forwards.
Yeah,
sorry, 3-2-5, I should say. 2 of the 5 were inside forwards, so they could drop back into midfield. And the difference is obviously the 3 in defence are pretty much centre backs, and 2 of the 4 in 3-4-3 are essentially wing backs. So you wouldn't play wingers there. That's what makes this a difficult choice to make, because that wide midfield selection is pretty. I mean, you could have David Beckham there and Ryan Giggs.
I was thinking, I think he's quite good balance for the wide right in the 3-4-3.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Steve Coppell, who would do all that work in as well. Antonio Valencia is a really good shout because he worked all that way.
Not better than Beckham, though, is he?
No, he's not, but he's better than Beckham at right back. That's what I'm saying. So is he better than a wing back? Is Coppell a more sound selection there? So there are some interesting ones in there. Have you got your 11? So if you want to name your 11 and then you do that, and I can finalise thinking of mine.
So I was thinking Schmeichel, and then I'd probably go for 3 actual centre-backs at the back. This is I'm saying since early 80s.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say Stam, Vidic and Rio.
Yeah.
Maybe Rio is the centre of the 3.
Yeah.
Beckham. And then Evra, I think, in a 3-4-3 is probably stronger than Irwin, but if it was a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, I'd probably go for Irwin. And then midfield 2 is really hard, isn't it? Is it Robson and Keane? Because they kind of complement each other. Robson is the linking 8. Or is it Scholes?
Yeah.
So I think it's probably Robson, just for the balance of the team.
Yeah.
And the up front 3, remember, I'm going from the early 80s here, and we were crap up till the late 80s. So this is quite hard. Maybe Rude as the number 9. but then I'm leaving out Rooney and Cantona, which that's wrong, isn't it? As the wide forwards. Or double eights. They're not wide forward. Are we calling them double tens or wide forwards? Because then I could have Cantona as one of the double tens.
It's your choice, Ed. You're telling them how to play the game.
Cantona.
Yeah.
And Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney's
Then I'm leaving Giggs and Ronaldo out. So, yeah, maybe it's got to be Ronaldo and Cantona. Oh, it's too hard, Wayne. It's too hard, even for the last 30 years.
And I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna include everyone in there, because make it even harder for myself. So Schmeichel in goal, because I think any era he plays in there. The centre backs slightly different to yours, because I'd have Stam in the middle as the enforcer, and I'd have Rio and McGraw either side of him, because I think you want ball playing.
McGraw's a great shout.
Yeah,
I mean he's I haven't looked back at tapes of him for a long time, or videos on YouTube, I should say. I did at one stage have a lot of VHSs for games recorded, but I don't know where they went.
No,
as we all did.
And this is on talent, by the way, so you can say, he had his injury problems, but we're talking about a player with the natural ability, and I'm talking about their ability on the ball, because they're in the wider positions.
Yeah.
You need all that. So he was an obvious one. I mean, Martin Buchan's one in there. I don't think there was a Busby defender quite as talented on the ball as McGraw. And Vidic is a really good shout, because I don't think he was as bad on the ball as some people think.
Definitely wasn't.
I just like to give McGraw a shout. See that you rarely see him mentioned in an all-time 11, so he gets a shout in this one.
He'd definitely get in our boozers 11, wouldn't he?
Yeah. He'd get in the boozers 2 if you had to pick 2.
Him and Robbo and Norman.
Or best, yeah. So 3. You've got 3. All right, so probably going to pick all 3 of the boozers in there, because my midfield would be Beckham, Robson, Edwards, and I think Giggs, just because I think he'd be a bit of a workhorse on that side. And up front, I couldn't pick a number 9, I don't think. So I would go with Charlton, Ronaldo, and Best. That would be the team. And I think
because you've got quite a team, isn't it?
It's good. It's a good team.
It's a good team, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong, to be honest. But
no.
Okay, Mark Ferguson. I'm assuming no relation, but, maybe.
You never know.
Never know. Will Amorim have any say over youth side? Yeah, we also got a question about, because we talked a lot about Ineos saying there was going to be a club style.
Yeah.
And looking for a manager like that. So someone else asked, so did they choose 3-4-3 as the club style? I somehow doubt it. I think they've probably compromised on that and gone for the manager that they think is the right guy and gone, yeah, okay, we're comfortable with the style. But will he get all the youth teams playing the same system? Because right now, under 21s do not. They play in a 3-2-3, 4-2-3-1 sort of 4-3-3, and the under 18s, Trevor Spinion's excellent under 18 side also playing that sort of system. So will he get everyone playing 3 at the back? Don't know. Good question though, isn't it?
Good question, and you will be delighted to know, Ed. Content. That I interviewed Nick Cox for my forthcoming book, Plug. Football Talk by Matt Busby, on this very topic, and I asked him.
When's that out, Wayne?
In March, late March, but you can
pre-order it now.
Can pre-order it on Amazon. You can also pre-order signed copies by contacting me on my socials. So that out of the way.
Do that instead. Yeah, Jeff doesn't need any more cash, does he?
No, yeah, exactly. But I asked Nick this exact question, and this was prior to this appointment. It was only fairly recent that I asked him the question. It was prior to this appointment. I asked him about the imposition of formations from managers, and that has never been the case at United. And it's not just Nick Cogg says this, is historically speaking. United's it's tended to mirror the formation of the first team, but only because the formation of the first team has mirrored what the current trend in football is. So this is one of the first times, Van Gaal's another, where the system of the manager is radically different, ostensibly speaking, to what is considered the normal formation in football. So it will be interesting to see that bit. But the answer that I had from how it usually works is no, that's not the case. However, I think we all pretty much understood that. Whether or not that will be this
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of fullbacks who'll be disappointed, won't this?
Yeah, they're going to have to get more flexible. Yeah, the Chelsea ownership imposed systems on the Maresca style on all of their teams and at Strasbourg too. I couldn't tell you whether all the City sides play the same way. Girona kind of do, don't they? Yeah. But the rest of them, not sure. Yeah, really good question though. All right. Kay Hayes, 888 says, it sounds like a betting company, but all right. I've heard big expectations about Shido Obi Martin. I haven't seen him. What type of striker is he? Would he fit the role of Amorim number 9? Honestly, I wouldn't expect so much of him right now. He's 16 years old. I mean, he looks fantastic, doesn't he? In the under-18 age group, he's already scoring goals. He looks like a real all-round striker. Great with the ball at his feet. Just a big lad and really quick too. So you can kind of see why everyone's super excited about him. And he obviously scored offensive amounts of goals in the Arsenal academy side too. But he's 16, so let's call our jets a bit. He's got some development and learning to go through.
I'm with you on that. I wouldn't like to comment any further about systems and stuff like that. It's just he could be frighteningly good in any system. So let's just give him space to develop.
All right. Barry Jones says, need a Ruben chant. Dan, any suggestions? Well, Dan, I forgot to get in touch with, but I did ask ChatGPT.
Okay.
So I'm not singing any of these. I'm sorry. We need to get Paul onto that. Or Dan, he likes singing. And so it gave me some really cheesy ones as well, which I was like, no, I'm embarrassed for you. Yeah.
Did you tell them that? Did you tell them?
I did. I find, as a very early GPT user, that you have to treat them as your stupid assistant. So chiding them kind of works quite well.
Do you know what I've started doing? Sorry to go off topic, but
I've started
before games, outside with our little crowd outside Old Trafford to entertain. I've started doing trivia through ChatGPT. Just give me 5 questions. Well, however many there are of us in the group, ask that many trivia questions. So I'll go around the group, ask, and occasionally they get it wrong. So the answer to the question will be wrong, or the question won't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'll be diverted, telling ChatGPT,
you got it wrong.
You've got it wrong. Like, no, it's not that player. And then they'll come back and say, sorry about that. It's this player. So you're still wrong. That's wrong, ChatGPT. So it's fun. It's fun to do that. Yeah. But please sing us a song yet, please.
It is not an encyclopedia. It's a probabilistic model, but we can, yeah. Anyway, it gave a few suggestions. So Seven Nation Army, Ruben Amorim, who's bringing the glory in. Cheesy, not going to take off. Frankie Valli's Can't Take My Eyes Off You. Ruben's our man. He's got the master plan. No, bad. To the tune of Hey Baby, DJ Otzi. Hey Ruben, you'll bring the trophy home. I think it's what's the right word for the rejoinder is wrong. Like on all of these. Yellow Submarine, Beatles. Ruben's at the wheel, taking Reds to the Glory. I don't know how would that go. No, I don't like any of these. Bad ChatGPT.
Bad.
All right. Send your suggestions in, please.
Yes.
Because we're bad at this. I'm sure that Pete Boyle is on it.
Yeah. You gave it a good go ahead. That's all.
Algeron Adash, sorry for butchering your name. Given this is the lowest football IQ squad in our history, all caps, does Amorim need to rebrain train? I generally think some need this. We're not even close to new football style side. I don't know what that means. I'm kind of happy about that. Pep equals all Z's. A majority bin them off. Is this Brent's burner account? I don't think it's a low football IQ side. I think the system was really muddled, and Eric unfortunately got himself in a muddle, moved very quickly away from his preferred style, compromised, and just never got back to it. And in fact, had 2 stars in one when we were playing the Chaos Ball, and obviously they made for an even worse combination. So I think I'm not worried about the football IQ. I think there's plenty of intelligent players, and you just have to play them in their naturally strong positions and get them to really understand what the system is. I'm sure they can do it.
No, I'm with you. I think there are a lot of intelligent footballers who have achieved quite a lot as well. I think, the midfield is packed of smart players, really, if you think about it. Like, I know that you've criticised various aspects of it, but Eriksen, Casemiro, Kobe, he's such a great brain on him.
Loads of intelligent players,
It's like even Mason Mount is a clever player. We've not seen a lot of what he brings, but we know that he's got an intelligent brain in the way that he moves around. So I don't worry about that. And the comparison to Guardiola is always interesting because we've talked before about that football being boring and United having a different kind of identity in terms
it won't look like that under Amorim.
No, exactly.
It'll be much more dynamic.
And is intelligence something that is a transferable quality with dynamism? I'm not saying that they're mutually exclusive either, or is it necessary? I don't know if it is. Instinct is instinct, because intellectualism is sometimes mutually exclusive to instinct, right? It's an interesting conversation to dive deeper into, but just not a throwaway answer.
The automatisms that happen in many modern football teams, especially in attacking areas, did not happen under Eric. I do not expect that to be the case under Ruben Amorim. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how many compromises he makes, but that was a real problem, right? So I think we'll see something that looks very different over time. All right. Mick Holohan says, what form of punishment would you issue out on these pesky fan cameras? And then he names some. I don't know if that's the right way. I kind of think about it in like modern media and communications, right? So the old school way would be to credentialize the newspapers or the media, right? It looks very different these days. So we're doing a podcast here and we're on YouTube and we'll do some clips on TikTok and stuff like that. Does that make us a press outlet? No, I wouldn't expect to be credentialized for the press, although that does happen, right? Paul spent many seasons in the press box writing for Bleacher Report, which was fucking awful. And he was just doing listicles there. And if he's listening, he's going to be very angry. He's going to be texting me right now. But yeah, it's about credentializing. So there are press areas. So press conference, one-on-one interviews, the media part of the press conference versus the press part of the press conference. And there's different deadlines on that. There is the mix zone, which we've seen some fan cameras in and behaving badly.
Yeah.
I think. And then there's stuff that is done for socials and other media. And I think that's where United Stand and a few others have been given quite a lot of leeway and access. And so, yeah, I know. To answer the question, I'm going on a bit, I think it's about like what credentials and what access you give, what sort of scenarios and what you expect to get from that. You don't expect everyone to say nice things about you all the time, right? But your behavior should be professional.
Yeah, I think seriously speaking, to seriously answer the question, I'm not talking about specific outlets. I think the credentializing is the big thing, but also like the purpose of what the outlet is for, because fan media is fan media, right? We're fan media. Like I know because I straddle a different line. I run a podcast with a former player. We don't pretend that we're a news outlet. We're responding to news. We are we're commentary outlet. We do that as a writer and author. But I'm a different line to a journalist. I understand that I wouldn't expect to get press credentials based on the fact that I write books. It's just. So what I'm saying is it's a difficult subject to talk about because people will come back to you with, they always do jealousy. But I think it is the intention of what you're using that for. If it's just for yourself to get views and it's not serving a news purpose, then should you have the credentials there to report on news? I don't think that you should. I'm a bit old school with the fact that I think that the club generally, they've got a good number of good journalists, so they can do the representation of the things that should be out there for fans to absorb themselves. They're jobbing at that. They don't need to have these fan outlets to do the fan thing, because the point is, and they always say it, is we're a fan outlet, and they all say the same thing. We're by the fans for the fans. So keep it that way. Don't stay in your lane and what you're good at. It doesn't. They obviously they push to try and get access because it makes them look more legitimate in front of the people that they're serving. Flippantly, if I can answer that flippantly, is I would just make them all say something positive instead of
see if they can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think modern media and like, so there's very low barrier to entry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take loads and loads of effort to record a podcast or a YouTube channel. And it's not millions of pounds worth of investment you need to make in the same way that broadcast has to. So everyone can do it. Does that mean everyone should, or their roles are different? Yeah, I mean, probably, but you also get things that straddle. So if you think about the Athletics business model, the Athletic replicates fan media in a professional setting. So you get some at the Athletic who are sort of cross-football journalists. So Adam Crafton, Daniel Taylor, Oliver Kay, but most of their staff are club focused, right? And so then you get this kind of, I don't know, it's not weird, but you get this thing where they're fans, but they're also journalists, but they also want access. So they can't be too critical because the access may be restricted, or at least they can't be, they have to probably be careful what you say about the owners, right? Whereas we can say big Jim's and probably get away with it, right? It's not making a difference. We wouldn't.
Well, also, you do find in fan media, and it's not just United, it's every single club, it's also relationships and ingratiating yourself with certain people. So
relationships matter, of course. Yeah.
And that's such a big thing. And that shouldn't be the case, right? It should be on your legitimate credentials in your training as a journalist, if you want to report things as news.
Take Andy Mitten as an example here, right? Fantastic guy, great stuff, new book out. Does awesome stuff, but he's fan media, UWS. He's a journalist, The Athletic. He's a podcaster, The Athletic and UWS. So what is he, right? So, and probably for him, he's trying to balance all these things and maybe moderate his criticism as a result. I'm not like admonishing him for that at all, right? But I wouldn't expect him to have the same freedom that we have, for example.
I do know Andy, and he's great. I think, not putting words in his mouth, I think he would describe himself as a journalist because he's trained to be a journalist. But he doesn't hide his bias. That's great. He doesn't pretend to hide his bias, but he's also not afraid of hiding his objectivity either. So, yeah, I think he would describe himself as a journalist, but without hiding that fan slant as well.
Good question. Ollie Espinand says, if we'd appointed Klopp after Fergie, would we have been a success, or would we still be where we are now due to the Glazers would have been useless? I love counterfactual questions like that, because you can't be wrong, right? I think he would have been, because of his unique skills, and well, let's be honest, his teams haven't always been a success. They seem to blow up every fourth year or something, but because of his unique skills and I think he would, and personality, would have been a sort of force of nature on the club, like he was with Liverpool. Remember, they tried to impose a transfer committee on him, and he kind of broke out of that. So I suspect he would have been more successful than we would have had through our 5 managers that we'd had post-Fergie, but you can't prove it, right? And would we have had a different pattern than we spend loads of money when we're out of the Champions League and don't when we're in it? Probably not, right? Because that's just how the Glazer family ran their transfer business. But he'd have been stronger than Woodward, I imagine, as a force of nature, and would have imposed his sort of transfer will if that was the biggest failing of the Woodward era.
What's the question? Was it post Fergie or instead of
post Fergie? If we'd appointed Klopp after Fergie, and of course, Klopp's success came a little bit later than that, but
yeah. So 2013,
Klopp was probably at Mainz then. Was he at Dortmund by 2013?
He was at Dortmund. He was definitely at Dortmund. Right. If we are just saying the Klopp that had left Dortmund and the one that went to Liverpool, established as a coach as he was, I remember at the time there was a thing about him, wasn't there? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They were always saying that. But my thinking is that he was probably on the cusp of being the greatest coach in the world. United were very trigger happy with the spending over that period of time, and he was a different force of personality to David Moyes. I think he would have been successful. Would he have been swallowed up by that eventually, like Mourinho was? Possibly.
Yeah, but we got Mourinho post-peak Mourinho, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got him 10 years. 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Love the counterfactual, but it would have been better.
Yeah.
I hate to praise Scouser. I'm on the David Coote train there. No, I'm not. God,
don't send this out. Don't send this out. Whatever you do. Oh my God.
I'm still laughing about that. But the more I think about it, because the 10-year-old in me finds it very funny, and that does come to the fore in my sense of humour. But there is a kind of classist anti-Scouse thing in there, where they're like, because of who he is with in that particular video. So I don't like that bit. I did find him calling Klopp a cunt kind of funny, but there you go. Kashif says, given that he's officially head coach and not manager, how should we benchmark his impact? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, we should go, hey, we've got people in charge of transfers, we've got people in charge of operations, we've got people in charge of the technical side, we've got Darren Fletcher, who's going to still be at the club on the pathway. We've got youth coach, we've got under-21s coach, we've got goalkeepers coach, we've got medical department, we've got analytics, right? They very clearly give it, and then we've got head coach, who's the guy who's in charge of the product on the pitch. That's how we judge him, surely.
Logically, you would think so. But he will always be judged as a Manchester United manager. So he'll always be judged as the person who makes the decisions, whether or not he is the person who makes all those decisions. That's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and not just with the particular wording for this manager, the fact that, that there's been this battle with Van Gaal and Mourinho and Solskjaer and how much power each of those were purported to have. I'm not a big fan of done this at length with Ten Hag, and we talked about it. I'm not a big fan of doing it during the era, but I understand that discourse goes on because obviously it's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about it as well. I would like to, I probably would still judge him as like a manager with that kind of control, even though I shouldn't. And I consider myself more fair than the average person, give more lenience to all the mitigating factors, but I still feel like I would do that. Like he's a manager, he's paid to manage, even though he's not, he's paid to head coach. It's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. I find myself turning the mirror on myself, the lens on myself, and thinking, yeah, maybe I'll be a bit unfair when I'm judging him. Even though
here's another way of putting it, though. Like, if we buy a player in January, now I assume Amorim will have some kind of say over that.
Yeah.
But do we judge him for the performance of that player? Because quite often we go, oh, that manager bought this player and he's been a failure, therefore it's on him. And we've started to come into this kind of mixed world where it very much seems like, say, Manuel Ugarte and Josh Zirkzee were not Eric Ten Hag signings. They were the club going, we like this player. Seems like it. Who knows, right? Or he said yes to a suggestion, maybe.
Exactly, though. That's the point I'm making. It seems like it. There's no real clarity there. So from the outside, you say...
I'm sure on the inside there'll be clarity. I think
without questions. But the question is about whether or not we judge him. If it's a question about whether the club judges him as a head coach rather than a manager, absolutely just judge him on the remit that you've given him. But I just don't think it. Honestly, I don't think it works like that because the Manchester United manager, we've talked about it before, it's a political position. It's a different kind of thing. So you can say head coach, no one's going to go there and take a press conference for him. When the difficult questions about football, politics, whatever's happening in the world is put at Ruben Amorim. He's the person who's meant to be answering it. He can't just say, he can't cheap out like Eddie Howe does at a press conference. He cannot do that, but he'll be put under that. He'll be made to answer questions in a way that Eddie Howe isn't made to answer questions.
Yeah, right. Last couple of questions. Says, which academy player do you see moving up to the first team and flourishing under Amorim? I mean, you could pick any of 5 in the under 18s now who look like chef's kiss, beautiful, right? We named them all before. So, the ones who are on the bench at the moment have been Harry Amas, who you'd look at him and go, yeah, skill set looks right. Still very, very young. And Jace Fitzgerald's been on the bench recently. And obviously we've had Ethan Wheatley playing a few. It's a hard one to tell because he doesn't look ready to me. But yeah. What about you? I mean, are you looking at Shea Lacey and Chido B. Martin and Bianchi Neri and Brimov and all those guys.
I think because he's been around a while and he's been a bit stop-start with injuries, Lacey's one that I'm really keen
He's
to
had
see.
a lot of injuries. He's
problem,
so silky, doesn't he? So.
Yeah, the problem is the area. We talk about all the senior players are in those areas who will all be getting minutes. So the pathway for him is quite tough at the moment.
Yeah.
But he's one. Yeah, Amas as well because of the space on the left-hand side, sure. But you could then say, yeah, Garnacho could be played there or Anthony could be tried there. But yeah, Lacey's one for me. Out of just because he's a different name to the ones that you mentioned that were obvious, and I want to keep his name in the sort of like zeitgeist of what we're talking about because he's a name that, because of the injuries, does get forgotten. But he's such a incredible talent that when he's fit, and you see the difference that he makes and how quality is when he's fit and confident as well. He's a player who just seems destined to be in the United team, and I'm so excited to see that.
We've had a few of those over the years, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. All right, last one. Matthew Edward said, honour of having the last one here. Which player are you most looking forward to seeing under the Amorim impact on? For me, it's a coin flip between Mainu and Højlund. I mean, Mainu, I know what he can do, and I think he'll be excellent in that sort of linking eight role that Amorim has alongside Ugarte. Can do both defensive and great ball progression. It's Højlund for me. And if you'd asked me this without mentioning names, that's who I'd say. I'd like to see what he's going to bring as a player in a system that will ask him to have the ball in front of him as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
Højlund's a really good answer, the obvious one. I will say Garnacho because I think his ceiling is so incredible.
Yeah.
And if he can unlock what we know is in there potentially, if he elevates Garnacho to the level that we think that he's capable of, then United's potentially a very, very frightening team. So, yeah, Kobe as well, Højlund as well, but I think just because of his ceiling and because of how good he already is and the potential that's there, Garnacho, just to give a different attitude with that.
Yeah, Amorim's side do a lot of the creation down the wide areas. I think we'll see a lot of balls in from the wing backs or the wider of the forwards that are cut back for goals to be scored. It's a very regular pattern, but they do get the ball forward quite quickly. So Kobe's progressive passing, be interesting to see how that develops. Be a bit less safe, a bit more expansive in his passing. I'm sure he's got the skill set. He just generally hasn't. So, yeah. All right. I think we'll leave it there. We're nearly at an hour. A lot of questions. Thank you very much for getting in touch on both X and Blue Sky. I suppose I could put these out on every other platform as well, but there you go. How can we find you, Wayne? Are you Wayne S. Barton on all these platforms?
Absolutely. Yes, brilliant. I am. And thankfully that handle wasn't taken from Blue Sky because of our good friend Tariq, who enabled me to get in there nice and early. So no one could pretend to be me.
Yeah, I'm NQAT Pod everywhere. I've had a Blue Sky account for quite a while. Just haven't really been that active because there's no one there until the past week. So yeah, welcome everyone. Very good. You can also catch us on Patreon at patreon.com/NQAT Pod, where you can get our backers shows and general topic of the week and a tactic show. Find us on YouTube if you're not already there, and every other platform. Even have a TikTok account now, Wayne. And with about 4 followers. So if you want to go find us there, we post clips and stuff. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.